Welcome to New Orleans, Our Story. My name is Eileen Carter and I'm the social media manager for the city of New Orleans. And I'm so excited that we are finally having this opportunity. We are going to talk about everything from CARES Act dollars to youth activities to the millage, everything that you want to know. So tune in now. Welcome to New Orleans, Our Story. We have been waiting to have this conversation. We were a little bit haltered due to our cyber attack, but we are here today. I am your social media manager, Eileen Carter, and I'm really excited about this opportunity. We are going to be having a one-on-one conversations with Mayor Latoya Cantrell monthly, and today is finally the day. So, Mayor, I first want to start with, we are unmasked, but you are in my COVID crew.
I am, and we are 6 feet.
Yeah, give me my 6 feet.
Yes.
You know, what did TD say?
Give me my 6 feet.
Give me my 6 feet. That's what TD says. Give me my 6 feet. Well, let's start off with that. You know, so many people in the city call you TD. And so it is a term of endearment. How do you feel like that started, and where did it come from? And, you know, how do you feel about it now?
Well, first of all, it is a term of endearment. And so naturally, just New Orleans, they speak to your heart, and they love you anyway. And a part of it is being able to connect with people, connect with our residents. And I also think it's, you know, being that first woman mayor and in this role, and being a black woman in this role, and a majority, you know, African American city, and TDs are special people, you know, that's your auntie, you know,
Yes.
who can talk to you just like your mother. And I think, you know, sometimes when I speak, I get criticized in a good way from the community about being so, you know, stern, or, you know, looking, you know, scrunched up, giving you a directive, you know, but it's all in love. That's how I receive it, and that's also how I give it, meaning how I respond to it.
Absolutely. So, Mayor, I always have to give context because that's what you always tell us. You know, you can understand what's going on now, but you have to know the backstory. So as we sit here, we are in our 7th cone of uncertainty.
We are.
Global pandemic. But I will say that we have crushed the curve twice.
Yes.
And we were even touted as an example by the Vice President Pence in his debate.
That's correct.
Kudos to New Orleans. But I also say we sit here, you know, lacking some of our CARES Act dollars. We also sit here, you know, the day after you delivered your 2021 budget to the City Council. You had an interview with the Advocate Editorial Board, and you just completed a Zeta briefing and press conference.
Yes.
Whew! Take a breath.
Well, it didn't seem like a lot until you rattled it off, I have to say.
And that was just today, and that was just less than 24 hours. So, with that being where we are, and in the budget crisis that we are, you know, we have our city employees.
Yes.
And I know there's so many times where you want to do stuff for us and you want to show us your love. If this is the moment where you can speak to one-on-one, because I'm your city employee, we're working.
Yes.
And we do it because we love the community and we love giving back. Your thoughts?
Working for city government is one that is rooted in service. It's grounded in service, and it is with the inspiration and the aspiration to help your fellow citizen, recognizing that we really are all in this together. But when you work for city government, it's the best job in the world, in my opinion, because it is service driven. And so, you know, we are in a crisis. We're faced with that. And in crises is when you really double down, where you don't waver. You go the extra mile in service, because that's what the residents who we serve expect out of us. And when you're going through a crisis, our people don't demand less. They actually demand more. And that means that while we are rooted and grounded in service, we have to continue to deliver for the city that we serve. It is service driven, and it is not for the faint at heart. So when you step up and you take that position and you make the commitment, know that you're making a commitment to service, regardless of what comes our way. We are government. We have to be around to serve the people of the city of New Orleans. So what I will say, it's about shared sacrifice. And we continue to demonstrate that even as our residents have, and all of us, all of our employees in dealing with this crisis, but the employees especially, I've had to move towards furloughs, which was a very difficult decision to make, but it was one that was ensuring that we keep our valued employees. Because if I didn't furlough, then there would be layoffs. And that means people being laid off from employment. And so the best way to value our people, demonstrate we value our people, was to move with furloughs in lieu of layoffs, keeping our people working, top priority. Even as relates to our people being that really the biggest asset in government are our people. So looking at employees that make $30,000 or below, that they will not be subjected to furloughs as we move forward, so into the year of 2021. So being intentional.
That's huge.
Yeah, being
That's
intentional about it in the best way that we can, but with the priority being keeping our most valuable assets, and that is the people who run government.
Well, that was a perfect transition because you talk about our most precious assets, and you show that in your work every single day since the beginning of the administration. The first offices that you created was the Office of Youth and Families.
Yes.
So I will say this because I have a son in the city, and so people and being on social media, I'm listening to the residents. There's not enough things for us to do with the kids. Kids don't have anything to do. But I'm also, because I have both sides,
right?
I'm like, I'm posting about Nord stuff every day. At Nord Commission, yes. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Follow them. There is information at your fingertips. But I know that you've done more than just activities. There's, early childhood education. Can you give us some information on youth and families?
Absolutely. So the Mayor's Office of Youth and Families was one office that I did start by executive order, being inaugurated in May of 2018. With the focus being on families, a holistic approach, breaking down silos within city government and in city departments and agencies, quite frankly. And making sure that we had a direct connection and a partnership with our public schools. Mm-hmm. And not just our public schools, but that is critical, but also with our private and parochial schools as well. As mayor, I do not have authority over our public schools, but I do have a responsibility. And if I want to serve our children, serve their families, serve this city well, I have to care about that. And the best way that I felt that I could do that was not only creating an office, but creating real relationships and partnerships where we're working together. That also includes the New Orleans Public Library. Again, it's not just about books, it's about sharing information, it's about getting information, having access to tools and resources so that our people, can get their needs met, meet them where they are. It's also about, you mentioned it, NORD, our recreation department. Again, that is more than just sports and recreation. It is about team building. It's about socialization. It is about, learning how to work together, conflict resolution. It's about senior programming as well. I mean, all aspects of how we can touch our people.
With the seniors, Mayor, they love it.
Oh, they do, and don't blow the whistle. Oh,
right?
My goodness.
But they also had their first soiree as well.
They did, yes.
And also this year we had our very first special needs ball.
And that was so special because oftentimes, our special needs community really feels left out. And that was another reason for the Office of Youth and Families, and even focusing on our Human Relations and Equity Office as well.
Absolutely. Well, Mayor, speaking of our youth, we're on this same trend of youth because it was a little controversial, but all of our children are in school right now.
Yes, they are.
So you had so much pushback about our children, but as we look across the country, I know because I had to post it, that Boston's school system was shut for the second time.
Yes.
And I couldn't even imagine, my child is a hybrid, going back and forth. There are a lot of children who are in the same situation. I want to say that the city has been working with all of us, so I want to say thank you very much for that. But how were you able to get all of our children in school? Because a lot of cities haven't been able to do that.
Well, first of all, I do appreciate you recognizing that fact that most cities across this country, kids are not in school. In the city of New Orleans, pre-K through 12th grade, public, private, and parochial have made their way back to the classroom. However, with the same option of virtual instruction, giving our families, giving our children and parents that flexibility that they feel they need so that their child can reach their fullest potential. So we definitely were able to work, again, in partnership with the Orleans Parish School Board, all of our charter management organizations, to onboard our kids back into school. And we're doing it successfully. We have been able to now measure the impact of that. And no large clusters of outbreak. We have been able to identify and isolate immediately, and therefore keeping kids in school. Nothing is done without risk. It's about mitigating risks. So ensuring that our teachers have access to adequate testing, our faculty, our staff, our students, parents, whatever it takes to keep those kids in school. 1 minute out of that classroom is a problem for our city, and particularly when you're talking about some of the disparities that we do have in our city.
And speaking of disparities, and y'all, we did not, work this out, so you just rolled me into my next question. But speaking of disparities, one of the big ones when we came into office was our digital divide. And speaking of our youth and really just everyone in the city, you have embraced social media, because I'm the first social media manager of the city of New Orleans, so thank you very much. But it was only because of your ability to see where it was going. So what even opened your eyes to social media?
Right.
Because you still have city governments who do not embrace it at all. So,
well, I think one of the top factors or priorities for me as I think about social media was being able to get information in a timely manner from residents, really understanding what's on their mind, what do they care about. Tell me, get me straight. Let me know, what that issue is, the pothole, the street light, the drug trafficking, whatever that is. And even good news. Hello, there's good news. And so I am adamant about checking my own email. I do it I do it all the time. I did it when I was a council member. I do it, as mayor. It is my way of staying in direct contact with our folks, but where they can communicate directly with me. And I just felt like utilizing social media platforms just allowed residents a way to share information with me, and then I can get information. It's the exchange, and it's in real time, and it matters.
It does matter, because it delivers our fair share, which was a hashtag that was created by the city of New Orleans and has been spreading and used other places. But fair share, a lot of residents only recognize fair share with the monies from the
from the infrastructure, revenue that we were able to get additional revenue from our tax dollars from Baton Rouge. We went through that battle in 2019, and we were told, oh no, there's no way, and we pushed forward, and hey, we made a way, and didn't do it alone, in partnership, but working very closely with just my city leadership, and also as it relates to external partners. The BGR was a big supporter as well. Just utilizing all of our tools, recognizing that people sharing information and getting information to the people, they become very instrumental getting the word out, especially when it was about infrastructure in this city. And so fair share, it speaks on every different level, in my opinion, because as I look and as I've really focused on doing the work, We have been able to see where the city hasn't been getting our fair share. That's not just about the tax revenue. It's about, one example, lease agreements. It was one walking in the door. The city of New Orleans had not received $1 from Champion Square that it had provided for the development. Creating Champion Square was supposed to be a lease. The city hadn't received not $1. Well, being persistent, and actually during this pandemic, we were able to get our fair share, $2.6 million off of that, and then an annual. Even looking at franchise agreements where utility companies may use our rights of way to provide, whether it is, CenturyLink is one, had use of our rights of way, had not made good on their franchise agreements to the city. We pushed, and we got $5.5 million when they had not paid us, 1 cent. Even as it relates to a board of trusts, I challenge my people, look for money everywhere.
Look for money
everywhere. And so we were able to, as they were searching, we found a trust where the city had not held a board of trust meeting in over a decade, and in actually a century, quite frankly. Some of the money had been sitting there for 25 years. And so we were able to find $1 million, which at that board of trust, we were able to allocate that towards a library, for example.
Libraries, for example. I will say during this pandemic, the amount of resources that have been coming out of our libraries have been amazing, between the e-resources, the tutoring, all of the many different aspects of the library. And we know that they have a millage coming up.
Yes.
So can you give us a little bit of explanation? Because, we've heard this and that and the other, but we want to hear it from you.
Sure. So the 2021 is approaching. During that year, we have about $41 million rolling off the tax rolls that are tied to a millage. That millage was set at 8.6 mills. With those mills rolling off, there's a need to renew the millages. But we use this as an opportunity to restructure the mills package by focusing on what the public has identified as their top priorities. So not priorities of 20 years ago, but making sure they're aligned with our priorities of today and as we see them for the next 20 years. And very clearly from the public, even looking at what they approved, the $500 million in bond sales last year, 2019 November, was in major areas of infrastructure and maintenance, economic development, affordable housing. So as we have restructured this millage package going to the voters December 5th, it will come as a tax decrease as well. We're going
Say that again, Mayor?
Yes, it's going to come as a tax decrease because we are factoring in the existing conditions that we're in, meaning that our people are in. So we're moving, from the 8.6 to 5.8. So again, making it a tax decrease, but it will generate anywhere from 23 to 25 million that will be focusing on infrastructure and maintenance fund, economic development, early childhood education, and of course, our libraries, along with affordable housing. This is unprecedented how we've restructured this. And the libraries that mill has been restructured to give a little love to early childhood education because we have to invest in our young people from 0 to 3. We know that it works because we have to ensure that our kids reach their fullest potential and their ability to earn not only a livable wage, but far exceed that. And so investing in our youth, our children. The libraries, however, will not see a decline in services at all. It will see an increase.
I was about to say, it looks like I've seen increases.
Yes, and it will continue to be an increase in terms of how we deliver services to the residents of the city of New Orleans and aligning what we deliver to our people based on what it is that they're looking for from government. They're looking for more robust in terms of programming availability and on many different levels and age groups as well. And so I'm excited about it. We're building out our libraries for our Office of Business and External Services that will be co-located at our branches as well. Again, not having our folks have to come to a city hall to do business with the city, that we're taking resources to the public. And so the restructuring of this millage package will be going to the voters December the 5th. It is baked into the 2021 budget. That's a $23 to $25 million gap that we will have to close if voters do not approve. But again, this is a renewal. It is also coming as a tax decrease.
Say that one more time, Mary.
Coming as a tax decrease, being very intentional about the burdens that are placed on our people.
And we want to make sure that anyone who wants to follow the library, you want information, you want the notification to pop up on your phone to remind you about something, follow them. NOLA Library, at NOLA Library, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. At NOLA Library, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Now, Mayor, talking about partnerships. I have seen you take partnerships to an entire new level during this pandemic. I think we've had to be creative because we didn't have our, the CARES dollars, and we're going to get to that right after we talk about the partnerships. Sometimes I like to talk about the good, and then we'll get to the business. So, you've had so many partnerships. You had one with Cam Jordan. You've had one with Compudot giving computers back to children. You've had Rockefeller. Why don't you tell us about some of those partnerships?
Oh, well, one that I'm very excited about is from Open Society, and we were able to get in $750,000 that was targeting in a most positive way our immigrant community who was shut out from receiving any type of federal or public resources to help them go through this pandemic as well. We were able to get that matched, and we distributed $500 per family. So a significant amount. There's always a need for more, but that was something that directly impacted families in the city of New Orleans that have been without, any showing of any love at all at the federal and state level. So I'm very, that touches my heart on that, and we'll continue to push programs like that forward. But also from Claire Lionel, that is Rihanna's foundation that gave over $3 million. We did $1 million that went to World Central Food Kitchen, $1 million that went to Second Harvest Food Bank. Nutrition is a big deal going through this pandemic, feeding our families, as well as rental assistance. We have been able to identify several million for rental assistance, and even leverage with public money that the city was able to execute through CDBG HUD dollars. So again, looking at rental assistance programs, even rolled out a mortgage program, because it's not just about our tenants, although, hey, it is and they're a priority. It's also about the homeowners so that they can stay in their homes, and even the landlords so that they can continue to provide rental units for all of our people. So looking at furthering partnerships, Rockefeller was a big one. It allowed us to train volunteers, neighborhood leaders throughout the city of New Orleans, making them neighborhood navigators. It did come with a stipend to our neighborhood leaders. We supplied them even with iPads and all the tools that they need to, again, handhold where necessary our residents with navigating government, and also opportunities to seek resources as well as employment. So we want to keep those good partnerships going. So we're always looking forward to them.
And you brought up housing and affordable housing, and let me just tell you, the residents love the photos of all of the new homeowners through the Office of Community Development. It's been a huge success, and it's just really important. And seeing that face of someone's time that they can see themselves in it. And you bringing that, that picture of them has really brought it home. How we hear you talk about home ownership and generational wealth. Can you expand on that?
So, well, home ownership is a priority, and affordability, quality. Everyone deserves a quality place to live. We are a city that is still majority renters, and we want to get well to about at least 70% of home ownership. You need a mix. You need a strong rental community, no doubt about it, and you need a strong home ownership community. That balance creates neighborhoods that everyone can afford to live in, and they deserve to live wherever they want and be able to afford to do that. And so affordability has been a top priority for me, from being a community leader, a city councilwoman, and now mayor of the city of New Orleans. For the first time, even, as the voters approved the $500 million in bond sales, that they approved 250, really going to affordability. Like, that's a big deal.
Wait, repeat it, Mayor.
I mean, it's a really big deal.
A lot of times these numbers just roll off our tongues because, we're doing this every day. But it's like you said, that's a big deal.
No, it's millions going into affordability and over a period of time. And so I think it's something that our city, our residents should be proud of. We have to grow in that area. We know that. But residents recognize it, and city government recognizes it. And so it's the best partnership you can have. Civic trust has gotten us where we are now. And also, as it relates to the millage renewal, again, having a portion dedicated to affordability, but making sure that we're getting the dollars, to the people who need them the most. And these programs, you mentioned the homeowners, or you saw the pictures where they were signing their closing documents. You can't make it up. Those are people who have gone through a process, and they've won. They've won for themselves, and they've won for the city of New Orleans. Those are tax dollars being reinvested back into our community and into our people. You just can't make it up.
So if you are not already following at Mayor Cantrell on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, make sure you do it right now. You can also follow the City of New Orleans at City of NOLA, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as well. So Mayor, we all worry about our credit, but we don't have to worry about New Orleans credit right now.
Thank God.
She said, thank God. Look, go ahead. Credit rating of the city of New Orleans.
Yeah, no, it's a
blessing right now.
It really is. Well, it's a lot of hard work went into that. And a lot of hard work went into it prior to COVID-19. We came into COVID, I tell you, with our fiscal health just could not really be better. Meaning we had a surplus, we had a strong fund balance, we had a credit rating that had been improved in less than a year and a half being in office, and we wanted a reserve, a rainy day fund. And so coming into this pandemic and understanding the deficits that we have had to carry in 2020 alone, really made us have to focus on protecting the hard work that our people have just put in. And so a part of that was, one, doing and making the necessary decisions to furlough within the last quarter of the year. Making sure that we did have freezes put on any vacancies, and any hiring freezes, that we had to put a freeze on travel, that we implemented a program, incentive program for early retirement, that we also did some areas of consolidation in terms of departments, where we took every step that we could take to make sure that we can close that gap. And also, we went forward with getting a loan a certificate of indebtedness of $50 million, just in case we needed it during 2020. But because of how we have just been so focused and being very surgical in our approach of dealing with the deficit, well, last week when we did have to meet with our credit agency, rating agency, and we were on a watch list of being downgraded.
Wow.
Well, they came and they said, based on the decisions that we've made, the city will not be downgraded, that we will keep our credit rating, which is huge. Remember, it goes back even to the bond sales.
Right.
It means that our interest rate it's low, that our money will work longer and stronger for the residents of this city. And moving forward, we have to continue to do things in the right way, protect that fund balance. We have to do that. And so we have presented a 2021 budget with no structural deficit. That speaks volumes. It sets us up to be, I'm optimistically, conservative, but I'm very hopeful in the same vein, not starting 2021 with a structural deficit.
Us too. We have two last questions for you, Mayor. You are one of the best people that explains things. You have many residents, and I listen to residents all day long, trying to understand the CARES Act. Trying to understand, why did our money go to the state when other cities' money went direct? Like, please explain the CARES Act and the funding, and just explain it all.
Well, I'm glad that they think that I do a good job explaining, because that means a lot. Because I really try hard to, but I'll repeat as often as necessary to get our people the information they deserve and in a way that they can understand. As it relates to these CARES Act dollars, now, there was a decision made at the congressional level that said cities with a population of 500,000 plus can receive their dollars directly from the federal government. Cities with a population with fewer than 500,000, like the city of New Orleans, that we would have to go through the state of Louisiana. So the federal government did allocate and disperse $1.8 billion to the state of Louisiana. They received the money. The state of Louisiana, which was earmarked in our federal allocation, $800 million for municipalities, local governments like New Orleans, like our parishes across the state. There was $300 million that was diverted or diluted by the state legislature from that $800 million, bringing that bucket to $500 million that would be available to us, to deal with CARES Act expenses, not revenue loss. I'm on that one too now, but this one is expenses.
So this is expenses only, things that the city of New Orleans has paid for.
Yes, to address COVID-19. Remember, we were a hot spot. We were one of the first in the country.
Oh yeah, I'm social media. They dragged us.
Okay,
Mayor.
yes, they
dragged
did.
us.
They blamed us all day long,
Yes.
like, but we were a hot spot. And we had to make tough decisions early on that proved to have saved lives in our city. But COVID-19 hit us hard and disproportionately impacted our people and impacted this city with cases as well as deaths in our community. We did what was necessary to slow the spread. We brought that down significantly. And we were leaders in the state and in the nation as it relates to that. So the work that went into it, it costs money to do that, and we have been, it costs money. It costs money.
About, Mayor?
So we have legitimate expenses, police, fire, EMS, our health department, all of our folks leaning in to do what was necessary. And so we did the job. We continue to do the job. So as a result of that, we have over $200 million in expenses that are eligible for reimbursement.
Can we repeat that, Mayor?
Yeah, we have over $200 million in expenses that are eligible for reimbursement, utilizing the CARES Act money that the state of Louisiana did receive. Now, the governor's administration created a formula that they use to allocate the resources, cut the check, so to speak. And they used a formula of 70% cases in terms of positivity and 30% population. So on the front end of this, right, we were the first hardest hit, hot spot. As we started to submit, they call them tranches. We submitted our first tranche, and we received $49 million from that first tranche. We, of course, submitted expenditures well above that. We call it carryover. So it carried over to the second tranche of us submitting our expenditures. We got $9 million from that. So right now, as it's set, the city of...
The whole city?
The whole city.
Okay.
How it's set is that the city of New Orleans has received $59 million. And this is also our agencies that are tied to us, our external agencies, $59 million, but $135 million of expenses that have been approved, but we have not been reimbursed. And the way that it's structured right now, it doesn't look like we will be reimbursed for those expenses. Well, I'm pushing. We know that the state has to create a fourth tranche simply because money is still there. There's a deadline in spending the money. The expenses, the deadline is November 1. They have November 15th that's a cutoff, and then by December to disperse resources. So we're pushing on that level, and that is for expenses, meaning that expenditures that are real that we have not been reimbursed for. This is not revenue loss.
I think that's the clear piece that people really need to understand. It's expenditures.
Yes, it's money that, yes, we have spent to slow the spread of COVID-19 in our community.
All documented.
All documented, approved at the state level.
And approved.
And approved at the state level. So it's no question. It's the question is the formula that is preventing the city of New Orleans from getting her fair share once again.
Fair share, that comes up a lot. Fair share. So last piece about fair share, but I think it spans across everything. Voting. Mayor, final question. Voting, the importance of it. I don't even know if you can have this conversation right now. The importance of voting. It's important to go vote. But the importance of voting, especially...
Sure, well, it's important, and it's important, of course, to vote in the presidential election, but it's important to vote in every single election. It has a direct impact on your daily quality of life, particularly your local elections. We have many things on the ballot, of course, including the President of the United States, and I'm encouraging a change. But I also just want to touch on and really thank our public for responding to Census 2020. That was a big deal. And the folks have often heard me say that was almost our first census since 2000. Our people were still scattered everywhere in 2010. We responded less than 43%. In 2000, we responded at 61%. So for Census 2020, we're over 58%. So kudos, buku.
We weren't talking that bad.
Buku shout outs, to the residents of this city who stepped up.
I created every video in ways. We had all of our influencers. We want to thank them as well because they've all participated.
We have the best influencers.
Oh my gosh,
we have the best influencers because they care about this city and they do it their way. And I love it. I love it. Even the memes and it's hilarious.
Okay, so this is totally off topic, but if this works out for the video, it is. What have been your favorite things that you've seen on social media thus far? Because of course I send you stuff. So, and let me be clear, y'all think Does she read let's give them the real. Does she read everything? No, she does not read everything. Does she get all of the sentiments? Yes, she receives all of the sentiments. Are they direct messages? We'll screenshot. I send them directly to your phone. All times of night we do this.
Oh yeah, it's true. And let me tell you, people just have to understand, look, that's how I deal with my mental health.
Yeah.
I don't read because I cannot be focused on naysayers. And you know what I say, okay, naysayers, and the power truly belongs to the people who fail to listen to them, right? So I have to keep my mental health intact. It's what I tell my child as well. But I get all of the comments still, and I love the feedback. I love the memes. I definitely don't have a problem laughing at myself. And I've learned how to, kind of do some self-improvement. You learn yourself through other people, and it gives you that mirror. And I appreciate the mirror, because we all have to be willing to look at ourselves. Mm-hmm. So, bring it on. And it also breaks up the monotony. It gives you something to laugh about. That humor, it does matter, especially when you're going through challenges and crises. But we get through them together.
And we will get with this. We will get through this next one, and hopefully there's another meme about you blowing this storm away, Mayor. I don't know if that'll happen, but hopefully.
Well, you know what? I know we're still not out of hurricane season.
I know.
We have until November 31. No, 30 days past
30th.
April,
Yes.
April, June, and November. That's
Yep.
right. Yes. So a closing thought would be, let's continue to make progress. Let's continue to make steady progress without any regression. Every single day I have to look at what would it mean to our city if we had to go back, meaning to a shutdown. What would it mean to our city if we can continue to stay on this trend and path to moving towards a full recovery? The days are bright. And so I just encourage the public to continue to trust, government. Civic trust has been awesome. Continue to do that because it's what's getting us through this. It's not me, it's not city government alone. It's us understanding that this is a shared sacrifice. So continue to do your part. That social responsibility, that personal responsibility is very important, and I just want to encourage our people to continue to move this city forward. And I'm going to do everything I can to continue to stand.
We're so excited. This is our very first New Orleans Our Story. We'll be having these monthly sit-downs with the mayor, where she will share her thoughts about what's going on in the administration. Because there's so much right now with COVID, and then we have infrastructure, you have streets being repaved all over. So we're really excited about all the things going on in New Orleans, and we're going to use this venue to share the information with our residents. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.